I remember getting my hair bleached for the very first time and my hairdresser asked me, so you know how to take care of this, right? And I like smiled and nodded and went on my merry way, and I had like no idea what I was doing. He said something about a hair mask and I was like, yeah, sure, I can do that, no worries. But then I went to Google it all about like how to take proper care of bleached platinum blonde hair, and I couldn't really find a straight answer. So hopefully this video finds you. Maybe you're freshly bleached, looking nice. Maybe you need some advice about how to take care of this precious, lovely blonde hair that you have. I'm Steph and I've had bleached hair for the better part of 7 years, and I wanted to share with you how I keep the mushroom looking fresh. So my first tip is to trust the professionals. Okay, so you've just bleached your hair or you're kind of thinking about it, and if you haven't done it yet, then I highly recommend that you go to a salon and get it done professionally. Unless you are dying to be part of a Brad Mondo hairdresser reacts bleach fail video, then like I have to say that the money you spend trying to do it yourself and trying to fix it once you fuck it up, it's well worth just going and getting it done properly the first time. At least you could also like learn a bit about how the process works. I'm not gonna lie, I love watching those react videos. I think they're hilarious, but I feel like a lot of those people could have saved a lot of time and money if they just like gone and got it done professionally the first time around. Because A, a hairdresser knows what they're doing, and B, they can see the back of your head. So getting it done professionally the first time costs a lot of money, costs a lot of time, but it's well worth it, and you'll be much happier with the result than if you try and do it yourself. All right, my next tip comes after you've got the bleach done, you're ready to like continue your life as this fabulous, amazing platinum haired person. My next tip to take care of it is to just not wash your hair. I know that might sound pretty gross to some of you if you're used to washing your hair a lot, but it is so important. When you bleach your hair, it takes off all of the color off the strand and it just leaves this like empty, hollow, lifeless bit of keratin that is gonna look fresh as hell as a platinum blonde kind of look, but it's also, she's fragile. She's hella fragile back there. And then when hair gets wet, it gets like flexible and it gets all loose and those like strands kind of relax a bit. And that's why hairdressers cut your hair when it's wet, because it's easier to cut through because the hair is sort of like stringy. That's also why we wash clothes. We wash clothes because like it relaxes the fibers and it releases all the dirt, and then afterwards it like resets again. So if you can avoid washing your hair, that gives you the best chance for it to like reset and regain its strength after it's been through what is frankly trauma of bleaching it. So the more that you wash it, the wetter it is, the more fragile it's gonna be, and the more likely it is it's gonna break, and we don't want that. And if you're worried about your hair getting really greasy, then I would say don't worry, because bleaching takes all of the moisture out of your hair, and so I find that the grease doesn't really build up as much. I tend to go about a week between washes, sometimes like 6 days, 5 or 6 days, and if I really need to get like another day out of my hair, obviously I use some dry shampoo if it hasn't been that long. And if it is getting really greasy and it's only been a couple of days since you washed it and you have like an event coming up and you want your hair to look fresh, then an option is just to like rinse the hair and then put conditioner in it, and yeah, don't use shampoo, just condition as normal and like let it dry, and that will usually get you another couple of days until the next wash as well. And also I would say if you're a big swimmer or you are someone that simply needs to wash your hair every day, then I don't recommend bleaching your hair, because it's just gonna break and you're gonna be really sad, and no one wants that. Tip number 3 is to be gentle. Bleached hair is super fried and dry, and that's just the nature of the beast. You have to be really gentle with bleached hair. It's like a fragile little kitten. Think about autumn leaves. Autumn comes around, leaves turn brown, they fall off the trees, they go on the ground. Hey, that rhymed. And if they're a bit damp, if it's just rained or something and they're a bit damp and you walk on them, they're not gonna like break up. But if you think about those same leaves, but they're dry and you go and walk on them and you mess them all up, they're gonna crunch, they're gonna break, they're gonna fall apart. That's basically how you need to think of your bleached hair. Bleached hair is the crumbly leaves, so you gotta be gentle and you gotta tread carefully when you're taking care of it. So I have a couple of sub-tips within the be gentle category that I'm gonna share with you. The first one is how you dry your hair. When you've just washed your hair and you're gonna dry it, don't be aggressive. Don't do the big like, I'm gonna get all the fucking water out. Because that's gonna like stretch and break your hair. Instead, be gentle, put the towel on, just like squeeze down as though you're like sponging up the water. Let the towel do its job of absorbing all of that water out of your hair, rather than thinking that some sort of friction is gonna be better for it, because it's not. Your hair's just gonna break. Then, after you've dried your hair, you still have to be gentle and you want to tighten it up. Don't, for the love of hair, don't use a brush. Please don't use a brush. Brushes smooth out the hair by basically like getting in there, catching everything that's tangled and like pulling it through quite aggressively to straighten everything out. And when you do that, it'll like stretch the hair, and when it's wet and bleached, that hair's just gonna stretch and snap. I know that I only have short hair, so I would probably be fine using a brush because it doesn't have to get through that much, but I use a comb anyway. I gently use a comb. I never try and like pull any knot through. Do it very gently, very calmly. And I would say if you have longer hair, then use a wide tooth comb to do that first sort of detangling. And do it, yeah, just, I don't know. Did you get the message yet? Do it really gently. Otherwise, your hair's just gonna break and fall out and it's not gonna be fun. And I would say that that's a general rule. Even if you don't have bleached hair, just use a wide tooth comb if you have long hair to detangle while it's wet. Otherwise, you'll end up with like breakage and flyaways. And yeah, that's a great way to avoid that. You might be thinking, how the fuck do I know this? Because I used to have really long hair. Believe it or not. I'll insert some pictures now. All right, so your hair is washed, it's dried, it's detangled. Step away from the hairdryer. Putting heat on bleached hair is just gonna fry it even more. It's gonna dry it out a lot. And so you're gonna kind of try and avoid it if you can. I know that it's inevitable that you're gonna wanna blow dry your hair, you might wanna straighten your hair, but I would say let your hair dry to like about 50% before you start using a hairdryer. It does just give the hair like a little bit more time to like absorb a little bit of moisture from the water before you can like go and style it properly. And then after that, once your hair is dry, I would say avoid any like really tight hairstyles, like avoid really tight buns, tight elastics, avoid doing braids. I know everyone wants to look like Daenerys, Queen of Dragons, whatever. I did braids on my hair the first time when I got it bleached, and then, yeah, I'll get to that story, but it was not a good outcome. It was not a good outcome at all. Okay, we're about halfway through, guys. My next tip is obviously to moisturize, and here is where story time is going to kick in. When my hairdresser set me on my way after my very, very, very first scalp bleach, he mentioned doing a conditioning mask to help maintain my hair, and I was like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. Like, so I just picked up the first thing that I saw in the supermarket or the chemist, I can't remember, and I did this mask like a couple of times in between when I had my hair done and when I went to get the roots redone. So when I went back to get my roots done, he was like, oh yeah, you've been taking care of it, right? I'm like, yeah. And he put the bleach on. Then he kind of said to me, he's like, did you lie to me? And I was like, what do you mean? Because I had massive amounts of breakage, and it was kind of scary. It was pretty scary, to be honest. He said like, you haven't done enough to like look after this. He did the best that he could, and since then I've like learned way more, and hopefully you guys are learning some from this video. After that, he was like, all right, you need to go and get a mask that has something like intensive repair or some sort of deep conditioning element to it, and then leave it on for at least 10 minutes after you wash your hair, or even longer before you rinse it out, just to like help repair the damage that had been done to the hair. And so these days, if my hair is like freshly bleached or something, and I can tell that it's like pretty dry, I will in my like usual routine of washing my hair, rather than just doing shampoo, condition, get out of the shower, I will shampoo, dry it off a little bit, put the mask on, leave it on for as long as I want, at least 10 minutes, so that all of that moisture can get into that damaged hair. And this is the mask that I've been using these days. It is the L'Oreal Elvive Dream Length Savior Mask for long damaged hair. I don't have long hair, so I like to think of it as long damaged hair, because I have been bleaching my hair for quite a number of years. It also has on here like it's to save your last 3 centimeters. I only have like 5 centimeters of hair, so I need those last 3 centimeters, otherwise it's gonna end up looking kind of weird. After I leave that on for 10 minutes, I rinse it out and I towel dry my hair very gently. I comb it out very gently, as per previous tips. And then I put on a hair serum. This is the hair serum that I've been using lately, which is another L'Oreal product. This video is not sponsored by any brand. These are just the things that I currently have. I have been through several different brands of stuff. I usually just buy what's on special, with the exception that it has to have some sort of like deep treatment in the name. Like, that helps a lot. Then I put on this hair serum straight away while my hair is wet. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I like to believe that the oil helps keep whatever water is already on the hair, inside the hair, just a little bit longer while it dries, just so that it can absorb a little bit more moisture and repair itself a little bit. This one these days, I used to just use like a coconut oil one. I don't recommend the argan oil ones, like those Moroccan ones, because those usually have an orange tint to them and they will make your hair look a little yellow or orange, which is not what we want. We didn't pay for that platinum blonde to end up looking orange. My next tip is to stay cool and don't freak out when you see the strands coming off your comb, coming off your hair, finding them around your house, on your brush, because remember that hair naturally falls out and replenishes itself. But when you have bleached hair, you will start to notice it way more because you'll be thinking about, oh my God, did the bleach break all my hair? And probably yes, part of it is that the bleach did break some of your hair, but part of it is just that hair comes out and it grows back. So don't freak out. Also, after a scalp bleach, this has happened pretty much every time I've had my scalp bleach. This has happened pretty much every time for me, is that for the week after I get that done, my scalp will peel and that skin will come out. It will look like dandruff. It will kind of be a bit gross, but also a little bit satisfying. And don't freak out. That's just like a normal thing. Your hair and your skin are just kind of taking care of themselves, replenishing. Way too much information, but if I notice strands coming out, I check to see if they're genuine breakage or if they're just like hairs that are coming out from the scalp. So to do this, if you find a strand, let me just see if one comes out. Hey, look, nothing's coming out. That means my hair is like pretty strong. Do I look stupid now? Oh, here's one. So this is, hey, it's just like a regular strand. So if it's come out at the root, so, all right, get the strand and then like run your fingers along it and see if you can feel any lumps or bumps. If you can feel a lump at one end, that means that the hair has probably come out from the root, which is like a normal hair molting sort of vibe. If the strand is perfectly straight and it's fully blonde, you can't see any regrowth on it, then I would say that that's a breakage strand. Because what happens is where the bleach overlaps, that little bit of hair gets really weak and then it snaps off. That's just the nature of the beast. You have to be prepared to lose a bit of hair when you bleach your hair. But don't freak out, don't freak out, don't freak out. It still looks nice. Then if you're worried about how much breakage you're having, I would say do a little survey of the strands that you're finding. The majority got the little knobbly bit on the end, or they're two-toned so you can see a bit of regrowth. But if they're not, if they're the kind where you can tell that it's fully just breakage, then I would say maybe go and do a deep treatment on your hair, go a little bit longer but to the next wash, just to give the hair time to kind of resettle and gain its strength back. But most of all, don't freak out. Breakage and hair coming out of your head is just a normal part of life. It happens on non-bleached hair, but you will notice it more after you bleach your hair. There's nothing to worry about, except for if lots of breakage is happening, then I would say maybe you need to lay off the bleach for a little while. And then my last thing I'm going to talk about is toning the hair. Before I went pink all the time, I used to use a purple shampoo to keep the tone pretty fresh and platinum. And I would say it's best to use kind of purple toning products every second wash if you're using a purple shampoo or if you're using a purple conditioner. I would say don't use both at the same time, because what happens is that purple will build up on the hair and it will just start looking a bit hollow and a bit too ashy, and yeah, it won't have that bright platinum vibe. And rather than just like a clear toning mask that I use, you can also get ones that have a purple tint, which can help you if your hair's maybe a little bit damaged and you want to still get the tone back into it. That can be a way that you can do that. Before, I just kind of went this peachy color all the time. When it was getting a little bit yellow, I would throw in a pale pink color to get me through to my next hair appointment. Especially if my regrowth was getting a bit long, I find having the regrowth into a color rather than into the platinum it breaks up the contrast between the dark and the light, considering I have such dark roots. And so I felt like that would get me through to the next hair appointment, basically. Also, I never go straight on the pink color. I always dilute it a lot with just a white plain conditioner. or I use some of this hair mask. The benefit of using a pink dye is that they have violet pigments in them as well. And so when they are fading out, they'll neutralize any yellow, and you kind of get like a little bit more of that neutralizing effect for a bit longer than if you are just using like a purple shampoo or something every now and again. If you aren't allowed to have pink hair where you work or for school or something, then I would say stick with the purple shampoo, or even make an interim appointment with your hairdresser and they can put on another toner just to like get you through to the next time when you're due for a bleach. So if you're thinking about bleaching your hair, then I say just go ahead and do it, but be prepared for a lot of maintenance. Also, if it gets too much, there's no shame in just going back to your natural color or trying out something else. I've been blonde for the better part of 6 or 7 years, but I've also had a break in that time by just going red or going back to my natural color, just to give my hair a little bit of a break. I do really love being blonde though, and I feel like ever since I had this little mushroom style, I feel like it just suits me really well, and I'm really happy that I found this style and this color. My mum went grey when she was in her 30s, so hopefully that can just like kick in for me soon, and I won't have to spend so much money getting this done and bleaching my poor scalp so much. If you're thinking about doing it, then I say just do it. You only live once. It's just hair, it grows back. First time I did it, I felt so like myself. It was really empowering and amazing. And yeah, I couldn't imagine really not being blonde anymore. And if you hate it, if you really hate it, which you won't hate it, you'll look amazing. You can always just shave it off. The beauty of hair is that it grows back. Don't get too attached to it, because it's not that attached to you. Thanks for watching, and if it was helpful, remember to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next one.